Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And once again, it's been an absolutely terrible night for the SNP in terms of local elections. Yet another by-election defeat. Do you know that ever since Humza Yousaf came to power, that's not really what happened, is it? He somehow scraped over the line in a very weird leadership contest. He's absolutely failed to win a single by-election, a single vote. Even his own supporters are abandoning him. They've had enough. They are sick to the back teeth of this bumbling fool and his very weird worldview. Nothing he's done has happened. Everything has failed. Anarchy and chaos are surrounding him. And of course he can't accept that he's ever done anything wrong. So it's not surprising. Well, the people of North Lanarkshire have decided that enough is enough. They've got rid of the SNP from that seat. It was Jordan Linden, of course, the toucher-upper of other people's children. There's an awful lot of them in the SNP. And they've elected a Labour councillor. Now, I'm not Labour. Many people here watching me will be Labour or won't be Labour. And I don't think it really matters. Because the fact that it's not SNP means that to some extent or other, and regardless of your political persuasion, everybody wins. Let's have a look at this story, see what's going on and see why it soon be game over for Humza Yousaf. Here goes. So, and it gives me great joy in saying this headline, SNP vote collapsing as by-election thrashing heaps misery on Humza Yousaf. The man must wake up every day and going, oh God, what awfulness is going to happen to me today? Because every single day it just gets worse and worse and worse for him. If it's not people stealing £11,000 worth and getting caught, or it's not another sex scandal, it's another election defeat. You'd think he'd be used to them by now, but apparently no. He's a bit of a misogynist. You'd think all that pain, all that misery, and he still wants the job. He thinks he's important. He thinks he's doing something good. And he thinks he's going to be there, you know, in the run-up to the Scottish elections in 2026, if they're not sooner. I don't think he'll be there much after the next general election. Assuming he even makes it to the general election the way it's going. But anyway, Scottish Labour romped home in North Lanarkshire again as it continues to eat into the SNP's vote, with Nat support plummeting by over 12%. It again, another big swing to Labour. And of course, with Lanarkshire, you have the whole Jordan Linden affair. There was a load of SNP councillors that sort of basically abandoned the party, went and formed their own sort of local little group because of the way they were treated over the whole Jordan Linden affair. See many posts in the past, many videos in the past about that. And so you had that, and so you were losing them. Then the seat that Jordan Linden vacated was obviously had to be reran. That was last night. And the SNP didn't get in then again. So there are actually no SNP seats in North Lanarkshire Council. The people are fed up with them. They're not voting for them. This must be very, very worrying for not just Humza Yousaf, but the whole of that coterie at the top of the SNP, because they see that they are actually being rejected by the very people that they claim to represent. Great, isn't it? Anyway, Humza Yousaf has been dealt another massive by-election blow after the SNP were thrashed in North Lanarkshire. Voters in the Motherwell South East and Ravenscraig ward were delivered a withering verdict on the nationalists. They better get used to this. It's going to happen a lot. The SNP, which was defending the seat, saw its first preference vote plummet by a massive 12.5%. And in comparison, Labour, whose candidate Kay Harman has been elected to council, saw its support increase to 44% in terms of first preference votes. Now, if you're hitting 44% first preference, you know you're getting in. You had your second ones in. It's so close straight away. There's no doubt you winning that. Anyway, the SNP has faced huge splits in North Lanarkshire in relation to shamed former group leader and toucher-upper of other people's children, Jordan Linden. But the result also suggests that the SNP attempts to take advantage of Labour's division over the situation in Gaza are also failing miserably. Because again, you've got Humza Yousaf, with sort of vested interest in Gaza, trying to push his particular brand of anti-Israeli sort of anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, the Gazans are still holding the hostages. Now, the Israelis, quick history lesson, as most of you will know, the Israelis have a great record when it comes to hostages. One only has to think about Entebbe. And so anyone who holds Israeli hostages must know that their chances of surviving this are slim to none. You're an idiot for doing it, but then this is Gaza, not noted for its intelligence, is it? Wrong kind of belief system. Anyway, former councillor Rosa Zambanini was the SNP candidate, and she admitted it had been a tough old night for her and the party. Well, it must be. You woke up this morning and you'd failed, you'd lost, you'd been rejected by the people. Nobody wants you, nobody loves you. You're like an unloved season, aren't you? You're like that wet... You're a wet Tuesday afternoon in November. That's the SNP. Anyway, Kay Harman has been a principled and hard-working community champion over many years, said SNP Minister Jack McConnell. But that doesn't do her any good because she's got the words SNP as her slogan, and of course that is enough now that it puts everyone off. People who say our parents don't like the SNP because of their continual pushing of sexuality on children. That's the time, that's by the ones who aren't actually physically touching them. You've got the people who like to have a job. They were, horrified at the thought of all these jobs going because of the Greens pushing for limitations. Anyone who owns a car, well, don't like what the SNP are doing with that. There's so many groups that don't like the SNP because of the policies. It's not a surprise. Nobody is surprised with this. Anyway. Just to round this off, it was also a rough election for the Scottish Conservatives, whose share of the vote dropped from 16.7 to 9.5%. The Greens saw a slight growth to 8.2%. You wonder how? Are there that many loonies around? Bless. Alex Salmond's Labour Party limped home in 7th place with just 2.1%. So a lost deposit for Alex. Must be used to that. I think £500 a pop. Oh no, that's FB. Whatever I think it's a lot less. I think it's like £100, isn't it, for council? But still money down the Swanee. Councillor Harman received 1,368 first preference votes, with Miss Zambanini gaining 934. The Labour candidate was eventually elected at the 7th stage of the count, with council elections using a single transferable vote system. It took 7. Wow. I'd have thought that would have gone on second, third at worst. But anyway. It is the latest in a run of by-election disasters for Humza Yousaf and the SNP. Yes, but there's going to be many more. There's going to be a lot more before the next sort of set of full elections. And boy, you cannot be looking forward to them. The SNP are also struggling in the polls. The Nats had already been humiliated in North Lanarkshire when it lost Bellshill by-election, despite Mr Yousaf taking a key role. And of course, he was front and centre again in Rutherglen and Hamilton West. In fact, it seems no matter where he goes, the SNP lose votes. So maybe the problem isn't so much the SNP generally as the man who's leading it. The man who's loathed by most people in Scotland. A man whose views are diametrically opposite civilised people. He's pushing for the baby killers. He's pushing for the division of Scotland. He's pushing for all the things that other people think are wrong. So it's no wonder he keeps getting rejected. Anyway, there we go. It's a great story. Like I say, it's more or less breaking news. As I'm recording this, it's just gone 9 o'clock, and this was updated at 8:35. So very fresh hot off the press. Anyway, I shall round off there. Come up and we'll finish the video. Now, I've got to say, it brings me great pleasure in these sort of things, but old Humza Yousaf must sit there every time and think, oh God, there's another by-election, there's another council election, oh God, we've got a seat coming up. He knows he hasn't won a single one, and he knows he's not likely to. He's watching as support dwindles away with every vote. He's also watching, opening the paper every day and seeing the latest polls and seeing a slow but steady trickling away of support. He's watching as the SNP in front of his eyes is withering, is dying, is basically eviscerated simply since he came to power. Ever since he became the leader of the party, it has crumbled to dust. He must see that the problem is him. His weird views, his take on the world. The fact that he supports everything that most people find anathema. And yet, he won't admit it because he can never be wrong. And that's great, because the longer he stays there, the more spectacular the collapse of the SNP, until eventually they will just be a withered husk. But honestly, it's like it's a party at a funeral, and the body lying there in an open casket is the party itself. It's fantastic to watch. You wonder how much longer it can last. It's a party destined to disappear and fail now. Especially come the next general election, they'll lose all those seats at Westminster. That's a lot of money they're not going to get. And then they've gone. Woohoo. It's popcorn, isn't it? It's absolutely joyous. I'm sure most people watching this will enjoy it. I know there's a few Nats that hate watch this channel. And for them, I say, look, just face reality. It's a dying party. The cause is gone. You know, it's up to you. Anyway, I shall finish there. It's a great way to start a Friday. Hey, we can all go through until they enter into the weekend with a spirit of hope and joy in our heart as we watch the SNP crumble and burn. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.